Hey everyone, Dan here. We're doing the trading day on Tuesday, June 22nd. Today we're going to do a special video on SoFi regarding the lockup period and when we can expect it to end and sort of dig through some of the details since there's a lot of random information out there. Before we get into it, if you enjoy these videos, please hit the like and subscribe button. It helps a lot. And also feel free to comment below, especially if you catch anything in here that seems, not quite right, so you have a different take on it. Some of this is trying to decipher fairly financial and legalish type of language. So, I would encourage anyone to read the documents that I'm parsing through. I'm linking them all in the description below with the titles to each. And I wouldn't take anything that's here as the word of God. I would go ahead and double check it for yourself before you make any decisions based on anything here. Also, for folks who are watching the nightly SoFi videos, this isn't replacing that. So I will still do a SoFi update after close today. So just know that that's coming. All right, so here's what's happening with SoFi today. This isn't the purpose of the video, but I thought it was weird to start somewhere else. So let's start here. So what I did was I basically went to the links that are in the description below, took out the relevant text, put it into a document. I used the header in each section, like you'll see here, there's 3 sections, to point out which document I'm looking at. Again, those are all linked in the description below. And then I put things in red and bold and stuff like that so that we could more easily kind of look through them. So this is from this document here, and let's just read what this says. So lockup period shall mean, blah, blah, blah. So beginning on the closing dates, which I believe was June 1st, but that's the first question to answer. The earlier of the following dates, either 6 months after the closing date, we're going to table that for now. I didn't even go look up exactly what 6 months after the closing date is, but it's just whatever 6 months after June 1st is. I think what's more likely is that you will get this second option. 33% of the lockup shares become available if the stock price exceeds or equals $12.50 per share for any 20 trading days within any 30 trading day period commencing at least 30 days after the closing date. So this 20 within 30 trading day window doesn't even start until at least 30 days after the closing date. Now, why it says at least, I don't know. Maybe because they're saying if it doesn't reach that $12.50 threshold until it's been trading for 50 days, then it would commence then. But that's the first thing. So none of this is happening within 30 days of June 1st because it's set to commence at least 30 days after that date. So additionally, 50% of the lockup shares, totaling 83, so 50 plus 33. If the stock price equals or exceeds $15 per share for any 20 trading days within any 30 trading day period commencing at least 30 days after the closing date. Okay, so to me, these two things appear as though they're happening in parallel with each other since SoFi, ever since its closing date, has been trading above 15, and if it continues to do so, starting in July, then that's when we'll be looking for these 20 trading days to play out. And of course, if for some reason it falls below that and doesn't regain basically 6 months after June 1st or whatever the closing date is, these shares would become unlocked. So here's what these dates look like, assuming that the closing date is June 1st, 2021. 30 days after. Double check all of this on your calendars, folks, because I was just sitting here counting on a calendar. So 30 days after, I took that to not mean trading days, just 30 days after, because it looks like it says commencing at least 30 days after, whereas 20 trading days, 30 trading days, they specified trading. 30 days after would be Thursday, June 1st, and then 20 trading days after July 1st. I count to be July 30th, making sure that you skip July 5th, which I believe the market is closed on that day. 30 trading days after July 1st, I count to be August 13th, 2021. So if the stock price is above $12.50 and or $15, the relevant percent of the locked up shares will become unlocked sometime within this window, July 30th to August 13th. If it has remained above 12.50 or above 15 the entire time, then it will just be July 30th, from what I can tell. If there is some back and forth, and some days it's over and some days it's not, but it still totals 20 by August 13th, then those will unlock. The next document is this amendment form. So this does have a bunch of the repetitive info in here, so that's not what we're going to look at. We're going to look at the red. So SoFi stockholders who own 5% or greater, certain executive officers, are restricted from selling or transferring, yada yada, not including the shares of SoFi issued in the PIPE investment pursuant to the terms. Okay, so the big thing to keep in mind here is this does not apply, and as far as I can tell, has never applied to the PIPE investors. And we'll talk about them in a second. Following the expiration of the respective lockups above, sponsor and SoFi will not be restricted from selling shares. So obviously, once that's over, it's over. Third-party PIPE investors will not be restricted from selling any of the shares of SoFi common stock acquired in the PIPE investment following the closing of the business combination. So again, if that was June 1st, the way that I read this, the way it seems to me, is that those PIPE investors were never restricted from selling as of day one. When that ticker switched over, they could have started selling. As such, sales of a substantial number of shares of SoFi Technologies common stock in the public market could occur at any time. So this is, to me, a big reason to not be super fearful of this lockup ending. First of all, it's not ending, as far as I can tell, until sometime between, the earliest, end of July to mid-August. And even if and when it does, I think there's a lot of reasons to not feel that it will just absolutely tank the price, except for the idea that folks will be so scared of it that a bunch of investors will pull out because they're concerned that it's going to tank it. But in and of itself, if that date just comes and goes and nobody trades based on the lockup ending, I don't think that it's likely to tank it. I think it's only if people overreact. The sponsor and the SoFi stockholders, not including the shares of the common stock issued in the PIPE investment, blah, 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 blah. So this is what I was honing in on here. Will collectively own approximately 76.9% of the outstanding shares, assuming no public shareholders redeem their public shares in connection with the business combination. You know that SPACs, folks can redeem it for the initial offering price. The ownership of the sponsor, which was IPOE, and the SoFi stockholders would rise to 84.7% of the outstanding shares. So this is just to say, PIPE investors are holding the other bulk of those shares. Coming down here, so in this document here, again, linked in the description, transaction values. So basically what happened here, this is me speculating because obviously I wasn't in a room where anyone was making a decision, but based on what's said here, what it appears to me is that SoFi, when IPOE, Chamath, whomever, was trying to discuss with them going public, they were valued at $8.65 billion post-money. And IPOE, from the funds that it had raised just through its SPAC, didn't have enough money to take them public because their valuation was so much higher. So you see here the PIPE of $1.2 billion, 805 million from IPOE, Chamath and the PIPE, the remaining 950 million of the PIPE, including funds and accounts managed by. So these are the PIPE investors that we're talking about, the ones that apparently never had a lockup period as of day one. BlackRock, you can read them. I don't need to read them to you. But my take on this is essentially, the lockup is ending probably end of July to mid-August, unless the stock price takes a significant nosedive, which could happen. But at a bare minimum, 6 months after June 1st, if that's considered the closing date. But, being that these funds have been able to sell their shares from day one, I just don't see funds like BlackRock, Barron, this pension plan, I don't see them as dumping a bunch of shares onto the market immediately. I think that they're longer term institutional investors. I think that that's why they were targeted by Chamath and IPOE for providing the funds for the PIPE investment, because I don't think there's any benefit to Chamath to having SoFi's price tank, even if somehow it benefited him in this situation, which I don't think it does. He already has like iPod and iPof, those are already out there. I think he's already filed for additional IPO, whatever comes next, G and beyond. And so I don't think that it does any good to his bank account. I don't think it does any good to his reputation. And so I think that when he's seeking out PIPE investors to shore up the funds to be able to take a company like SoFi public, that he is selecting ones that he feels strongly will be holders of the stock for a longer term, so that they don't dump things onto the markets and cause a bunch of chaos and the price to plummet. So that's my take on the lockup. Again, dig through everything in the description below. These are the dates that I see from my count and my understanding of what I'm reading here. Feel free to, leave comments below if you have any questions or thoughts, or you see discrepancies. I could have definitely missed something here. This is not 100% my world in terms of like these very, very wordy, lengthy documents, and also stringing together 3 different documents to try to complete one picture. So that said, I appreciate any sharing of this video that you'd like to do on Reddit or Facebook or Twitter, or wherever you share things. Also, of course, liking and subscribing helps a lot. And then the other thing is, in the description below, I'll also put a link to a newsletter that I'm going to be starting in the future. Right now, it's just a Google form for you to put your email address in, because I haven't worked out the logistics yet, but I know that I want to start that down the line, and so I'm starting to collect those things now. So if that's interesting to you, it's nothing that would hit your inbox anytime soon. I would think probably a couple of months at the soonest. So you're not going to get bombarded. And even then, I'm thinking it'd be a once or twice a week kind of thing. All right, well, thanks a bunch for watching. I hope that this was helpful, and I will see you all in the next video.